So another thing that I wanted to show you what I did with advertisements is to make my own collage scrapbook paper, like really simple. So what I did is I took few brochures or advertisement that I got in the mail, and I just put gesso on and some acrylic paint. So this is just one of them. I think I'm gonna use it to, I don't know, cut a strip off as a washi or something. So I left it like this. This is another one. I put two colors on and just stamped it a little bit. I didn't want to have really too busy page, so I didn't want to trace them. I just left them as they are. They can be for the background. This is another one that it's not finished yet. I still want to circle this bits here. What I did is I gessoed the page with wall paint, and then I used some crayons and just went crazy over it. And then I used alcohol markers and I just made some shapes, and I used gel crayons to color inside. And then, because it was like plain, I didn't know what to do, so I just went with my Sharpie and just made some marks and go around with it with another very thin Sharpie. So that's what I did. It's really busy, so for something green I think it's gonna be just fine. This is another one that was gessoed, and I made the triangles with colored pencils. So I made all the triangles with different colors, and then I just traced them with a really thin Sharpie. And I made some how would you say, circles with liquid pearls, or you know, those 3D paints that you have. And I just set it aside to let them dry, and then I circled them around with more Sharpie. So I kind of like this page. It's really nice. With these butterflies, what I did is I used some gesso and acrylic paint to mix together and just put it with a credit card on the page. And then I took my stamp and just stamped all over the place with butterflies. Then I decided I'm gonna use some color pencils, and I took a bunch and just randomly colored the wings. And then, since it was still so plain, I used some glitter glue to actually color the body of the butterfly. So as you can see from really close, they're really shimmery and it's looking really nice. So I would actually cover this just so the whole page is covered, and not to cover this because I really like it. This is another page that I made. It's busy, but I kind of like it, so it can go for a background or just as it is. And you can still color this because this gesso, actually wall paint, is really it's not glossy, and it really does good with any other medium on top of it, like colored pencils, crayons, alcohol inks, gel crayons, watercolors, whatever you have. This is another page, like really busy and crazy one, because I didn't have anything around me that time. So what I used are just random bits and pieces. I think I had some strips. I used gesso and then some paint on it, and it was really dark, so I wanted to just bring some interesting detail on top, and I didn't know what to do, so I just used some pieces of paper. And when I glued it down with a glue stick, when I was finished, I just went over with PVA glue. Any white glue will do, and it's really smooth. So I was able to use my Sharpie to go around each one. And then, because it wasn't enough for me. I went inside of the whole pieces as well, and it looks really interesting for in my opinion. So you can say, yeah, it's homemade and it looks really awesome and the texture is really smooth. And this is another one, another page that I did a few days ago. I was experimenting with a lot of things. I don't know if you can see the shimmer, but this, what it is just, let me show you. It's basically the netting from the fruit basket. This is the netting from lemons. So I use this as a texture, and what I wanted to do is to have something textural like and consistent, and so I can go over with my Inca golds or with crayons or with you know, something that I can rub on. And crayons are really good to make some rub-ons, and this was my vision, what I wanted to do. So I used Inca golds on my finger, and I used some gel crayons like this, that are basically, if you mix it with water, they spread. They're softer than Inca golds. So I used that and just make variations of colors because I wanted to see how it's gonna look like. So how I did it is I put some glue on the page. If you have fabritac, it's gonna work really good with this plastic thingy. And then I put the packaging all over it. So I glued a little bit and put it on and tried to stretch it so I had these bigger openings. And then I glued this section and this, so you can use your hands or you can use you know, a card to smooth it out. And when it's dry, since this, when I started, it had I just glue it on the actual page. I didn't gesso or anything. I just glue it on the actual page, whatever was on it. So you don't need to worry if it's white or not. And then what I did is I used wall paint and my brush and just went crazy all over it. Which I really much like, and the texture is really good. And when it got dry, I just rubbed all over the place. That's all that I did, and you can have really a lot of fun. You can stretch it really in a different ways. You can make it smaller and a little bit bigger and smaller, but when you put gesso or, like I did, wall paint over it, it's gonna get stiff and it's not gonna move. So you can maybe still see these places where it's showing, but I'm gonna cut to have really neat edges, and that's gonna be it. I'm really proud of this one. It was like 3-step project, because first you had to glue it on, and then I painted it over, and over the night it dried, and then I just, you know, painted to make the texture. I was thinking what else I can use. You can use any plastic mash from potatoes, from carrots, whatever you have, you can use it in and make really awesome design on the paper. And you can buy papers like this anywhere. So you can actually cut circles or something out of this paper to make different texture and look into your journals. So I think that's something I really like. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. If you don't have gesso, you can use just regular PVA glue to make it sturdy and to make it really tack down to the base, and that it's hard. That's the only thing why I used gesso in this case. So, and then you just paint it. You can paint it with acrylics. If you want to go just straight with acrylic, you can go. I could paint this black, and I might do that because I want to have some black and gold, and you know. So I would do black, and not the gesso black, but just the regular acrylic paint. And that would be it. Okay, so let's move on. These are my next stack of papers, and what I did here is just put splash of paint on and my gesso, and I just doodle a little bit with my markers. These are some, because they are on the blue background, they look more purple, not pink. So I use this one, and it's really it's looking nice, as you can see. What you can do is just write, like, make any shape and make hearts out of it or make flowers out of it. I will put the link below where I've seen this type of flowers, because I was watching a video before when I wanted to make a pattern for my scrapbook paper, homemade scrapbook paper. So I used the idea to make those, and I again use the liquid pearls to put on the center of each flower. And these two flowers are not finished, I can see that now, but yeah, it was really fun, and it's relaxing to make something like so. And you can actually use it to have really nice papers if you don't want to use your scrapbook paper, or you know. This is another page that I just put some paint on. I might cut some shapes out or just use it as is for the whole page. This one was my first scrapbook paper page that I made. So I put some paint on and did a little bit of variations of dark and light, and just went to town with making some flowers. And I put glitter glue in the middle of each. So if you can see it, it does shine a little bit. And this glitter glue and liquid pearls, they remind me of those expensive paper packs that you can buy in the stores. They have those dimensions to them. If you don't have those, what you can do, you can gesso the page and just put it through embossing folder and use some crayons to do the rub on the top, or use your ink pads or Inka Golds, whatever you have you can use. You're not limited to. This is another page that was made with liquid pearls. I gessoed the page and I used my colored pencils to just scribble the back. So it's, you can see lines where I actually scribbled the color on it. And then I used some ink to stamp my flowers on, and I put liquid pearls on it as well. As you can see, however you turn it, it shimmers, and I really like that. That's something that I do like, and I don't mind that I can actually see what's behind, because that's the charm of it. You know, it's a junk journal. This one I really love. Is another mixed mash of colors, and I did put some liquid pearls on it. Maybe this way is better. These are just scribbled flowers, and you can make your own if you want to, but I have stamps for it, so I just use my stamps. And yeah, you can basically make any paper with your stamps, so you're not, you know, you're using your stash, and at the same time you're making really nice papers, you know, that you can use for cards, for everything, whatever you want to use. This is gessoed page. And what I did for this one is I used this confetti stars, and I took them out. I separated reds, greens, and yellows, and then I started to glue it down with my glue stick and make a pattern. If I would use wet glue, this would run, because it does run, and it's really, really thin. So I had to use glue stick. What I can do is I can spray it with hairspray to fix it, or with any acrylic spray to fix it. And that's it. You don't need to do anything else. I just randomly put some stars on it, and you can still see the car on the back and the batteries and stuff, but I don't mind. I like the page. The other thing you can do, you can just edge it with the black Sharpie or colored pencils if you want to. It's up to you, but I think I'm gonna make more pages like this in blue and yellow and orange and green. This is another page that it's not finished, but I just went with it. I it was too dark for me, so I tried to make it more contrasty, let me say it like that. So what I did is I put scraps from book pages that I have in my box, scrap box, and I just edged them, every little piece of the paper, and I glued it on. That's all that I did. I was thinking to maybe write a message on the white ones, or to stamp on them, or just to doodle on them. I don't know. This is another one. I think I did this with just regular gesso, and then I put some water-based gel crayons on it. And I bought another set. I used this really nice neon pink for this one. So yeah, I just scribbled and went around with water, and since the water is resistant to the paper because I used a wall paint, it's not gonna go through, so it stays on and it's vibrant, which I very much like. This stuff, the black one, is basically watercolors. I made myself this, so I just scribbled some black watercolor paint on this, and then I just went like this, you know, and that was it. Okay, and this is the last page that I made. I don't know if you can see that, but I just used stamps with one color, and these strips are basically the strips that I put in my scrapbox. They are random pieces of some are newspaper, but mostly books and really old pages. So I know it's really shiny because I mounted the light right above the camera, but I wanted to say that it looks like interesting. I glued them down with glue stick and then went over with PVA glue. It's an interesting background, and I can make circles or shapes out of it. These papers are really just playing and using all the scraps and trash that I could find. I have plenty of more ideas still, so I wasn't really concerned how they look like if, you know, I went over the line, or if it doesn't look really good, or, you know, I was not thinking about those things. So that's why they are as they are, and you can edit them, or you can just have them as a background to have a different look in your journal. I can show you a few other things, how to make scrapbook paper, or just different colorful paper for your junk journal, or anything really. This is a newspaper that I just put tube watercolors all over it. This was from the session where I went to do art classes. So I used up the paint from others, and I didn't think much. I just covered the whole thing. So it's really vibrant, and I like that. And you can cut stuff out to combine in your journals, and it's really thin paper, so it's not gonna bulk your journal. Another thing I have, this is a paper bag, okay, and what I did is I went with my crayons, like thinner crayons, and made some shapes, and it wasn't so good, so I decided I'm gonna use my Sharpie to go over it, and I like it way better now. And you can use this and, you know, cut it up, or just have it as a cover, or whatever. It's up to you what are you gonna use it for. But it's another way, so you can actually use any supply that you have at home, or that you actually bought in a sale or something. You don't need to have everything. Another thing is that I did with the other side of that paper bag. This is one side of that paper bag, and this is the other side. I used my finger and acrylic paints, and I dipped my finger into acrylic paint and did some, you know, painting with my finger, and I did some dots So I made a lot of dots, and then I just traced them with alcohol marker. Um, Maybe you can see it better from up close. It has the texture. It's really nice feeling to go over it, over the bumps. It's really nice, I have to say. So another way to make your papers, you know, interesting, so you have some variety. This is a page, a semi-glossy page from kitchen, whatever that is. I put acrylic paint over it, and I think the paint was more glossy than not, so that's why it's shining so much. And then I went over with black acrylic paint, and I used that same bubbles here. I had a face with bubble wrap. I am showing just how you can, you know, make different papers. I will put all the links below in the description. You can find all this that I'm showing, how I made them. And this one is really nice. This is really thin phone book page, and the contrast is so yummy. And you can actually see, if I put it really close, the detail. Oh my god, can you see it? I love the detail. I know it's gonna be really hard to use this page, but I love it so much that I would prefer to use this than the one that I would actually buy in the store, because I do have some issues with that, buying paper in the stores and that not using it, because I don't know what to do with it. Another one is this one. This is just a half page of something random, and this was a jelly print, but you can do it with credit card, just applying the colors on and stenciling over it. It's really nice. It does look really nice. More dots. Another phone book page with dots. You can see up close how yummy this is. And I have another page with dots. These are bigger dots, packaging dots, you know. And this is really thin paper. This is from the when you get, I don't know, creams or whatnot from pharmacy, and then you have those papers inside. I use those because they're sturdy and really thin. Another thing you can use is just regular pages from magazine. This is not really heavy, but what I used is I gessoed the whole page, and then I used my watercolors and made it really wet so the colors would bleed into each other, and I really love that. It looks really, really yummy. Another thing that you can actually use for your journals, and you can make a bunch of them. Okay, another one is I made this travel looking like homemade scrapbook paper. I'm calling it scrapbook paper because you actually use scrapbook paper to cover something or to make something nice, or you know what I mean. So I do call them scrapbook paper because that's what they actually are. Just, you know, homemade, not printed. And I use the same thin paper, and when you use thin paper with acrylic paints, it gets thicker. So I stamped all over it. These are all stamps from one set, and I used my pencils, colored pencils, to actually color the details, which is really fun. This is another page. This is really old one that I made, and I do have a video for it on my YouTube channel. I will link everything below, but it's like grayish black background, and I just put some flowers on. And this is another one, so you can actually have a feeling what you can actually do with stamps. I think these are two different sets, and when you paint it, when you paint the actual stamped images, it looks really nice. And here I have one more. These are homemade stamps that I made, And I used, yeah, I forgot to mention, you can use the gel pens. You know, those are really awesome for this project. Um, and here is another one with gel pens, with shimmer glittery gel pens and neon gel pens. So yeah, use those because I know you have them and you're just, you know, you're never using them. And the last page that I'm going to show you is my favorite one, this one that I made on the video as well, so you can check the video too. And this is more like glossy page, but I used, like I said, wall paint and a little bit of pink and just mixed it together and stamped everywhere. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. And I would have a cover like this, and just put something on the top, and that's it. I can't cover this. It's so beautiful. So if you don't have stamps, you can do this, smooshing colors together. It's really easy, and all you need is just paper, and you can use newspaper or whatever to actually make some background papers. You know, this is a regular paper, printer paper. This is a magazine page, and I just went to town with, these are homemade stars, like homemade stamps, and these are from, I don't know which set. And this is another one. I made these yellow things with colored pencils. It's like a bold one, but I like it because it's, you know, it's unique. And that's kind of it. So I really hope you find this information useful and you will apply it to your projects to make some homemade scrapbook paper, because it's really easy and really fun, and to try to use papers in your junk journals. Yes, you can use scraps and book pages, but what about all the advertisements and newspaper that we throw away into a recycle bin? What about those? Who is caring for those? So I think this is a great opportunity to use them and make something nice of them. And you can share all of this paper with crafters, and I know they will love it. It's really, really easy to make pattern paper, and you don't need to spend so much on the pretty papers. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're gonna check the description down below to see all the information about the projects on these papers, and have a great day. Bye!